Greetings, Brawniacs, and welcome to The Devil's Den, a podcast that focuses specifically on Leo Brawn, former homicide detective killed in a line of duty turned demon hunter. I'm your host, Stitch Mainville, and with me is your co-host, the creator, writer, and producer of Leo Brawn, Mr. Jason Beard. Now, Jason and I will be breaking down each episode of Leo Brawn as we're joined by cast members who will give us their perspective as well. But first, spoiler alert, we will be discussing the entire episode of So Good It Kills. So if you haven't yet listened, stop here, go back and listen to episode 8, and then come on back so we can continue. Okay, so now that you're all caught up, you may have some questions like, did Willie Topaz invent signing autographs on women's breasts? Can the dead be killed? And our most important question of all for this episode is, who stole Jillian's taxi? All this and more on this episode of The Devil's Den. Hello, our conversation is just beginning, and right now we say hello to our co-host, the creator of Leo Brawn, Jason Beard. Jason.
Stitch. How are you, my friend?
I am good tonight.
Good. It's Sunday, fun day Sunday. Everybody's feeling good.
Yeah, usually we do this on a Friday, but Sunday was nice because it's a holiday, so what the hell?
Yeah, and, exactly.
I am so looking forward to reviewing this episode. There's so much happening. It's like a roller coaster, man. Episode 7, we peaked at like the highest point, and now of the coaster, it's like a free fall into some exciting areas of the Leo Brawn story.
Right, even into, dare I say, the past.
Oh. Well, hey, as always, we use this portion of the show to welcome some cast members. And this episode, joining us, we have returning guest, Terry Briscoe, a.k.a. Willie Topaz himself. Terry, it's great to have you joining us this evening. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Hey, the last time you were here, I said we'd find a reason to bring you back, and here you are.
Man of your words, Stitch. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, for Willie, this episode must be pretty exciting because during his life, he acted the part of an action hero. But now that he's dead and in hell, he actually gets to be an action hero who's doing all the stuff he used to pretend to do.
Yeah, I think that is the coolest thing about this episode is that we're actually seeing him, he's like playing the role, but it's him in real life doing it. So it's like,
real death.
He's been practicing for this his whole life. Well, yeah, in death, you're right. And now in death, he gets to actually be the character.
Yeah, which I thought was really, it's kind of cool because like I said, when he was alive, he was an actor. He played an action star, but it took his death to actually become a real action star.
Yes, that's pretty well written there, my friend. Pretty sneaky.
I wish I could have had Andy here with us because this was his breakout role, Jason. Not only was he narrating in this episode, but he's also voicing a character. Jason, can you tell us a little bit about this new character?
Yeah, Ronan Delaney. So it kind of came from just conversations with Andy, and he had this, I don't know if it was just a character that was sort of stuck in his head that needed to emerge, come out, but he kept doing it. And I said, this is really hilarious, and I wanted him to have some other role on the show, and so I said, do you mind, maybe reading? I'm going to write something for this, and so we came up with it, and then he, now in the script I can just say, hey, do your full Ronan, go full Ronan, and he'll just improv all these hilarious lines that, almost all of it usually gets used.
Well, speaking of Ronan, let's listen to a little bit of Ronan.
Dispatch has branched out to include an R&D department. One of the engineers, Ronan Delaney. Ronan, can you join us?
Oh, aye, it's nice to meet you both. Nice to finally be out of the hot box, aye. It's what we'll call the dispatch room. Anyway, I've devised these long-range communication devices, if you're familiar with two-way radio. Aye? No? Aye? Aye? Well, you'll be able to transmit and receive audio. I affectionately call them weevils. They have a range of about 900 miles, at least in theory, small enough to hide securely and secretly in your ears. So take a weevil on your way out and let's cross our fingers they survived the trip, no? Aye. You can. They didn't care how much fucking work I put into this place. I don't belong here. I miss Billy Gilmartin.
It's still going.
Yeah, he's.
Oh yeah, it goes on and on. There's like probably
It's like
40 more
15 seconds of that.
So, Jason, is Ronan Delaney the Leo Brawn version of James Bond's Q?
Yes, I love that you say that, because that's exactly what function he's going to serve on the show. It's like not only the comedic relief, which this show sometimes desperately needs, but also new gadgets, new technology. So there'll always be something new that he'll be presenting to the team. Sometimes sometimes this thing will work well, sometimes maybe not so much, but that's all part of it. So exactly,
questions.
he's cute. Yes.
One, the name of the device, Weevils.
Weevil.
Right? Where'd that come from? Because all I think about is something burrowing into your head.
Yeah, that was really all it was. Honestly, that's all it was. I was just trying to think of something that sounded kind of creepy, small, and would easily fit in the ear, and Weevil seemed to fit that. So that's exactly why I went with it.
Number two, why does no one ever answer him when he's it becomes like a running joke throughout the series.
Yeah. He just has these rants. He's sort of always dismissed. I think it's because he's got sort of these, we hint at it a little bit, but he's sort of, he's a bit of an addict right now. He's dealing with a lot. He just got out of the dispatch room where he's been locked in a room for however long. So he's kind of socially awkward. He's sort of inept in a social situation. So hopefully with time he'll warm up to people.
Time will tell. Well, hey, before we review our episode, let's get to the answer of last week's episode trivia question. To answer Leo's question, Willie assumes Hitler can be found in what area of hell? And who better to have here than Willie Topaz himself for this answer? Willie?
Mm-hmm.
Are you unsure of this?
You might have to help me out with this one.
I think I already gave you the hint.
So the city of Dis?
The city of Dis, sure. Where he may be, we don't know. He could be in a different area, but you just assumed that, and that kind of answered a lot of questions and brought us the idea of rings or different areas of hell.
Exactly.
Well, Tom Cormier in Prosser, Washington, he left a Facebook message. He says this is a pretty cool story, is a pretty good story. Not a great story, but a pretty good story. Can you explain hell? Is it located beneath Earth's crust, or is it in outer space?
Well, Tom, that's a pretty good question. Not a great question. No, it is, well, we treat it as a real place, like a physical planet or some dimension, some parallel universe, so that, in the event that you were there or came upon it, you would be able to actually physically travel to it if you could actually locate it and find it. So we treat it in the show as a real place. It's not in someone's mind or a dream. It's something real.
All right. Well, there you go. Tom Prosser from Washington somewhere, or Tom Cormier in Prosser, Washington. Anyway, let's get to our episode review, shall we? We opened the episode in 1986 when Willie Topaz was an up-and-coming actor, and Willie's worried about a crazed fan who might be stalking him. Now, Willie and his manager at the time, Maury Stillman, we're all familiar with, are on a flight to Willie's next gig as they discuss his stalker.
Excuse me, Mr. Topaz? You have a fan in seat 4. She wanted you and your manager to have these.
Willie and Maury turn slowly towards the back of the first-class cabin, where they notice the woman holding a glass of champagne. She nods and gives a pleasant smile. She is smartly dressed, sexy, black hair, striking green eyes peeking above the oversized morph sunglasses with pink-tinted lenses. She exudes confidence, her shapely figure barely obscured by her navy blue business attire. Willie raises the glass in her direction and then turns forward again. He places the glass on a small fold-out table in front of him.
Do we drink it? I mean, that woman doesn't look anything like Baba.
Please don't say her name.
Willie stares at the glass of champagne with trepidation. Bubbles rise to the surface in a flurry as the ice-cold glass begins to sweat.
Fuck it.
Willie brings the glass to his lips and drinks every last drop. Maury follows suit. Willie turns towards the attractive woman again, raising the glass as if to say, "Thank you."
Thank you. Fuck it. So Willie, being worried about a deranged stalker, is given a drink from a fan. Fuck it. I'm just going to drink this drink with no regard.
Yeah, it's not in the clip, but it kind of indicates that even though Willie is freaked out about this stalker out there, you know, he's not taking it as seriously as it could. And in the clip, it's not mentioned. They're talking about how, you know, sexy this passenger on the plane is and stuff like that. And that is the exact opposite of what they knew this stalker to look like.
To be, sure.
Yeah, the identity was completely different. So I think between that and just, look, I'm a movie star. I'm not going to live in fear. Look it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, he just really just does not believe that it could happen to him.
Exactly.
Not the great Willie Topaz. He just can't happen to me.
And we've all been in a situation like that, I'm sure. I've heard of people whose houses were broken into and things stolen, and you think, oh, that's kind of fucked up, but that ain't never going to happen to me. I've had my house broken into twice and shit stolen out of my house. Probably from family members, but I don't know. Well, anyway, Willie's taking a shower, and he starts to feel a little lightheaded, and then he blacks out. And when he wakes up, he's tied to the bed. See, this, I don't know if this is a nightmare. Anyway, he's tied to the bed with the woman from the plane who's straddling him.
Now, don't be cruel, lover. And don't try to scream. Your manager is having an extra long sleep tonight. Gotta love what 100 milligrams of temazepam can do.
She picks up a box cutter that had been laying on the bed and pushes the blade upwards. She leans closer to Willie's face. He's gasping for air while still unable to move as he reluctantly inhales her sour breath. Her emerald green eyes now replaced with her natural colored eyes, a dark, muddy brown. In the shadows, her eyes appear black as night.
Please, no. Don't do this.
Oh, lover. Shh. Tonight is the night. Tonight, you will go down in history. The great Willie Topaz will be forever only mine.
No!
All right, Willie, Terry, that was amazing. But you got to give credit to Lori for that.
Oh my God. Emily killed that, man. Like, pardon the pun. Emily was so good. I didn't even realize that it was her the first time I heard it.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea who you cast as Barbara. So when I heard, I was like, who is that?
Yeah, that was. Emily's been such a great surprise on this show because this was like the first thing that she's ever done in this medium or as a voice actor. So she's just been amazing to work with, and she just jumped at the chance to play something like this. And man, she really brought it. I mean, so many different layers to the performance.
Yeah,
that are all kind of creepy.
It's so creepy the way she says lover.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
lover.
Yeah, exactly. Because you get that image of a psychotic, deranged type of person.
Absolutely.
Straddling, and she did that again when she was Laurie Stryker pushing Maury up against the wall. Mm-hmm. She gave you that sense that this was some kind of crazed person who was going to kill this mother. And now she's with you, and she's just the way. the psychosis dripped from her lip as she talked.
Yeah.
It really, 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 really did. She did a great job. And that scene is, you gotta remember, Willie is supposed to be drugged in this scene.
Yeah.
So he can't even like yell fully. You know what I mean? They
No,
want to do
right,
like that
yeah.
monster death yell at the end when your character dies. But she stole that from him. Like I could damn you. Yeah, so I had to try to figure out some kind of way where I could make it sound like someone sitting on top of me, about to cut my throat open. But I'm drugged and I'm yelling. It's my last thing that anyone's ever going to hear him say.
Well, in all actuality, when your throat is cut, you really can't yell a whole lot anyway. So it came across perfectly. Like it's done. It's over with.
The sound effects are brutal.
And that's the other thing. The soundscape, Jason, that you put into it with the music and that violin shrink.
Yep.
Man, it was perfect because it was just like.
That was so much fun because it was so different than what a lot of the show had sounded like up to that point. So, and I wanted it to almost have this Hitchcockian sort of feel to it.
And you said Hitchcock, and I'll tell you what, the first thing I thought of when I heard that violin was Psycho.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. I wanted it to have sort of that old school kind of horror feel where there's, you're obviously in this, it's not a visual medium, so but you're having to feel this tension build and creep into you, and it really worked.
Excellent scene. So Willie's dead, and we learn that there was a young Officer Brawn working the case in 1986.
Officer Brawn, can you join us?
Detective Wallace, you wanted to see me?
Officer Brawn, the suspect has left a half-empty vial of temazepam at the scene, but no syringe. The coroner will have to confirm, but doesn't appear the body was injected.
Yes, sir?
You have an opinion?
The absence of a syringe would indicate the deceased was poisoned prior to arriving at the hotel?
Go on.
The front desk confirmed the deceased and his manager arrived at the hotel about an hour after landing at PHL. The deceased's whereabouts after landing are completely accounted for by his manager, Mr. Stillman. This would lead me to conclude that exposure to the temazepam likely occurred on the plane during the flight. It's highly likely that the drug wasn't injected, but rather ingested.
The kid's a prodigy.
Kid's a prodigy.
Kid's a prodigy. So who voiced that part right there? Who voiced young?
That was Mitch.
Leo.
Mitch Lishinsky.
No, who voiced young Leo? Because no way that was Stitch, right?
That was Stitch.
Yeah, that was a young Stitch voicing young Leo.
That was pretty impressive, man.
It really was good.
I tried to imagine what young Leo would have sounded like, because he would have had the gruff. He's a smoker. He's a drinker. It would have taken 20 years to get that gravelly voice of his. And when he just first started out as a young officer, I figured, well, he probably just sounded like any other young guy. So I just cut that off and spoke in my regular voice, thinking, actually, I kind of little like that.
Yeah, that's not your regular voice.
No, I squeezed my testicles really hard. So,
you had to lift and tuck a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But that's also like and oddly enough, because of how Leo's voice is throughout the show, this is the first time we see Laddie also.
Yeah.
So hearing Mike Cunningham with his just like ridiculous pipes.
Oh yeah.
And then hearing you actually not do your Leo Brawn, but do your young Leo Brawn.
Right.
The juxtaposition with his voice and
yes.
your voices. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the precursor to what Leo will become.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's cool because, and I listening to Mike, his voice kind of described his character. Just listening to him, you can just see this like big chin, big tough brawny guy, you know, in a trench coat and maybe a fedora. That's the image I got of him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and he hit the nail on the head. I mean, we had a very brief discussion about it. But, this is like a no-nonsense guy, but he really has this feeling about Leo being, just having the gift for being a detective, so he takes him under his wing and really begins to care about him.
Yeah, he caught on to him very early, like very, very young, very fresh, and he's already got him doing detective stuff.
Yeah. Oh, he pulls a few favors for Leo, for sure.
If you've ever met Mike in person, like you could absolutely see Mike showing up in a trench coat, and you can absolutely see it. Smoking a cigarette and just talking out the side of his mouth.
Well, hey, back in present-day Dante, Willie Topaz is set out on an investigation to find clues to the death of the inmate Chort, and he stumbles upon something interesting. Decides to go off the books and do a stakeout.
As the Bronco pulls closer to Willie, he's surprised to discover that the driver's appearance has completely changed. He is no longer the blank-faced man that entered the vehicle, but a wide-eyed, anxiety-ridden man with a multicolored mohawk, his head full of cartoon character tattoos.
This is ORA agent Willie Topaz. No case number available. The investigation is off books for now. I'm investigating the suspicious suicide of a recent inmate with connections to something called the 11th Circle. There were 3 guards on duty that night, 2 of which have solid alibis. The remaining guard, one Maynard Tully, his whereabouts around the time of the suicide cannot be substantiated. Maynard claims to have been addressing a maintenance issue in the briefing room, but technicians explained there were no incident reports filed, and to their knowledge, everything was operating smoothly that night. Only minutes earlier today, during the surveillance, I witnessed Maynard Tully leave the ORA after his shift this evening and exit the agent parking lot. As he drove by in his Ford Bronco, he experienced what I can only describe as a body swap. His appearance completely changed. I am now tailing this unknown assailant, keeping distance so as not to be detected.
The guy with the cartoon tattoos was mentioned in the previous episode when the pig was investigating the Molly Bouge. And just before we learned this, he was dragged off. Now, Willie finds some interesting clues in a van.
And now I have access to the cargo area, and it's completely empty. Wait a minute. The floorboard is uneven. Appears to be something underneath. I see several outfits, guard uniforms, coveralls. Maybe whoever this is can change it to multiple identities. There's a stuffed doll, like a teddy bear, with a small orange tie and a creepy grin. Hold on, there's something else. There's a wooden box about the size of a cigar box hidden underneath the uniform. The lid appears to have been branded with, you guessed it, the 11th Circle insignia. Opening the box, I see empty vials and a syringe. There's a receipt or something. Cedar Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia. Stapled to the receipt is what looks like a handwritten map indicating a specific plot in the cemetery.
Dun, dun, dun. The plot thickens, and Willie is onto something. Yes?
Oh, oh yeah, no, he is. I love this part of the episode because it's not something we've touched on a lot, but in really probably only the first or second episode where the demon hunter sort of provides like an audio log of an investigation or a hunt, like where Leo, there are times when he's seemingly recording details of his case, and we hadn't really touched on that. So this is another incident of that where Willie, now being full-on detective and not really demon hunting, but onto something completely different, is using that device, and the show is using it as a device to move the story along. But it was also another way of providing some sort of direction and narration without it necessarily being just the narrator telling you. And it gave Willie a chance to sort of live out that whole PI kind of thing, that real hard-nosed detective kind of thing.
Yeah,
and then in covering the stuff in the car, or this Bronco, he finds various uniforms, so that would match, like if this body swap guy, the shapeshifter guy, whoever he is he's even got different clothes because he can apparently assume the identity of a number of different people. And then, of course, he also finds the receipt to this cemetery, which, what's this mean? Back on Earth. And then this creepy little teddy bear doll with the orange tie, which, what could this be? It's strange.
Well, getting back to what you were talking about, the recording, I find that refreshing, actually, because you do have the narrator kind of narrating everything, but to have the monologue from the lead character in that story itself is helpful. Like when we did that in episode, was it 1 or 2, where Leo's driving and he's talking about the case number that he's on?
Exactly.
That kind of broke things up, and now here Willie is doing the same thing. He's recording everything that's happening. It's off the books, that kind of a thing. And I think it helps break the story down and show it better than just having a narrator narrate to you what you should be seeing.
Right, exactly. And this was, I think, as I started to become a little more comfortable with not relying so heavily on a narrator to just explain the things that are happening, but find other ways to bring that across where you can still hear it. And like you said, I mean, there's something about as a listener, you become so much more invested when it's great to set the scene, and you need that, especially I think in something as dense as Leo Brawn, where you need someone to be able to set the scene, but then you also want to be able to experience it with the characters. And so I was starting to become more comfortable with doing that.
Yeah, I think that Willie, that was actually, because of that, it was a little bit difficult to record that because I'm so used to being in the character, right? Where he's such an over the top guy, you know what I mean? Because just the confidence, just brimming all the time, to doing something where you're actually like talking into a recorder and you're like, yeah, so this is what we're doing. I pulled up and I'm going into the trunk. It's like an entirely different presentation of him.
You see, I found that enjoyable because the Willie we met in earlier episodes was this brash, flamboyant type of guy who's just like over the top all the time. Whereas here, he's just being Willie Topaz, and he has a mission to accomplish, and he's looking at everything, and he's actually concerned about what's going on. So it gave us this true sense of Willie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like, it's really, if you think about it, it's really the only time up until this point in the show where he's not Willie Topaz, the movie star.
True.
Right.
Well, when he picked up Leo,
he's just a regular guy.
When he first picked up Leo, he pulled up to the house in the car. There was that back and forth, but I still got the sense that that's Willie, the overacting kind of guy. Yes. Whereas here, we get a sense that this is Willie as Willie.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Taking it completely and totally serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, we find Leo in his apartment, and he's watching the news, which is reporting on the murder of a young woman whose body was found in the Stygian Marsh.
We have some disturbing news to report tonight. The body of a young woman whose name will go undisclosed for the time being has been found in the waters of the Stygian Marsh. Tatiana Marigold reporting. Tatiana?
Thank you, Chip. Mr. Girder, can you describe how you came to find the body of the young woman?
I was fishing for brim, but got my line stuck in some bush. I waded out further to untangle the line when I found her. She was, basically, gutted, and, excuse me, her right ear was, removed. Oh, shit!
Back to you, Chip.
Back to you, Chip. It's not enough that Tony Girder barfs on TV, but what really got me was I got my line caught in some bush. There just seemed to be a little innuendo there. I don't know.
This guy He could never die. Like he has to be on every 4 episodes. You just he's like the Cabbage Man in Avatar.
Every time a body's found, he needs to be the witness.
He needs to be there somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Well,
Hey, this reminds me of something. This reminds me of a Seinfeld episode, and not for the comedy, but Larry David, as a producer of Seinfeld, every so often he'd do a voice or an odd character during the series, and you get the same thing here from Jason, who voices the angler Tony Girder. Jason, every so often we like you were the hot dog or the hero vendor. I think you were also weren't you the guy controlling the monitors in season or episode 2 or 3?
Right. Yeah. Like whoever that guy was.
And now here you are as Tony Girder.
Yeah. It's usually just more like me jumping in is typically just necessity. Like I'll realize sort of close to the end of an edit, that, I didn't cast anybody for this. Far more so than it is like, I got to get in there and do my part. But that was a character that I knew well. I definitely drew on many family members from my Southern upbringing. So that wasn't a difficult stretch for me, especially the fishing part. I mean, we have a lot of anglers in my family. So yeah, it was fun. And I just think that I just love the idea that he's trying to hold it together. He's the witness. He's trying to help, but he can't. It's too grotesque. Poor guy. Yeah, he's just trying to do his best. He's just trying to do some fishing, enjoy himself, and runs across that horrible body.
What I found funny was he didn't mind talking about the girl being gutted, but the minute he mentioned her ear cut off,
what did it for him?
Shit. Oh shit!
I love this character so much.
Yeah, he's fun to play.
I just like the fact that Alfred Hitchcock would show up every so often in an episode that he would do. Stan Lee would show up in some of his movies that he would do, and I just think it was nice that you showed up. It was cool.
I'm always there to try and help move it along. Be the idiot that throws up on the news.
Well, hey, before being paged back to report to the ORA, another folder is slid under Leo's door containing a note, "Do not trust Howard." And up to this point, we really hadn't had any dealings with anyone named Howard. Had we?
No, I don't think so. Not by name, I don't think.
Okay. I had to mention it. It was in the episode, so we had to mention it. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, the mystery. It's not the first time somebody slipped something under Leo's door. So it's sort of, that hasn't really been answered, like who's helping, maybe it was Sebastian, maybe it was Satan, maybe it's someone else. Who knows?
Because the first folder had just...
Leo's door must be really huge for whole folders to be slid under there.
Well, there was a ray of light coming through, so I'm guessing about that big anyway.
Yeah. Shoddy craftsmanship over there.
Well, eventually we find the pig chained and naked to a wall in the cave, and he's not alone. There's some type of creature contained behind a glass wall. But before he can make out what it is, a mysterious voice comes across an overhead speaker.
And that's when he sees it, and then hears it. Something massive, cloaked in shadow, silhouetted by the silent electrical storm, rolls and undulates while bellowing a chilling groan. The creature, or whatever it is enclosed by a wall of thick glass. The pig, already shaken from the sight before him, jumps as a voice comes through the speaker.
All right. So basically, the pig is being held prisoner in a room that's separated by glass that shows a large, massive creature behind a wall. Ideas? Do we get to find out what this creature is, Jason?
Oh, yes, you will.
All right.
Go ahead. What else you got? I can answer for you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I pictured him. I didn't picture him naked, but I pictured him chained to a wall, and across from him is this big like glass wall, and on the other side, I'm picturing like this black silhouetted, large creature. That is. So I really don't have an idea of what it is. Just that it's a large silhouette.
Large. In fact, you may not even be able to see the full size or scope of whatever is behind this glass encased wall, but he knows it's big, and it seems to be in pain or distressed. It's not a happy camper, whatever it is, and it seems somewhat powerless right now to do anything about it. So much like the pig himself.
Indeed.
Well, Jillian is obviously upset that there's no news about Sebastian. So she goes back to the administration building to question that old administrative clerk, but she learns nothing. And frustrated, she leaves. And as she's hailing a cab, someone approaches her.
Jillian exits the administration building. She raises her hand to hail a cab when her name is called out.
Miss Burkett?
Jillian turns quickly towards the stranger.
Jillian? Jillian Burkett?
Don't step any closer. How do you know my name?
The man stops in his tracks.
You don't know me, but I've been trying to reach you. Sebastian, he found me first. I know where he is.
Is he okay?
Yes, he's fine.
Then take me to him.
No, he said that is what you'd want, but that isn't safe. He said there is a place it's where you two really had a chance to talk. He said you'd know it.
And?
Do you know it?
Yes.
Meet him there. Tomorrow. Noon.
A taxicab arrives. The man enters the cab, looks at Jillian, and nods as the car pulls away.
All right. So this creepy guy steals Jillian's cab. What the fuck, man? She hails it. He jumps in. He looks at her like, I got your cab. Bye.
Ultimate form of disrespect.
Yeah.
She should have known not to trust this guy right away.
So even though it's not said, we know that this is Howard.
Yeah, I think it's not, like you said, it's not explicitly stated, but Leo, for some reason, is the one that gets the warning, but Jillian is the one who gets the introduction. And more or less, by and large, this is probably the guy, Howard, that they've been warned about.
All right. Well, let's get back to Willie, shall we? He gets back to the ORA, and he convinces Captain Mangat that he needs to go back to Philly to investigate a clue.
Okay, pick your poison. We have Bobby Maxim, birthday clown, just had a heart attack. Or Sylvia Bolingbrook, drowned in her pool.
A clown or a drown victim? I'll go with Sylvia, the drown victim. Clowns creep me out. I'm not a fan of those big red shoes, man.
The drown victim it is.
Thanks, Cap. I'll have a full report once I return.
Big red shoes. I think I'd rather wear big red shoes than a bikini.
No. Well, he's a pretty open guy, man, you know. He's very firm. He's very firm in his masculinity.
So Willie's creeped out by clowns and decides to take the body of a drowned woman. And that brings us to our next Facebook message. This comes from Dennis Brantz of Ferndale, California. And he asks, when Leo goes back to Earth and takes over another person's body, can he assume a woman's body? And if so, is he wearing the woman's clothes? Now, from what I understand of transmigration, Willie should show up as his own self, but wouldn't he still be wearing the wet bikini of a drowned woman, Jason?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, in this case, if in in this case, which we haven't really seen, but since Willie would have either been dressed as a clown or this drowned victim in a bikini, he chose the bikini. We don't get to see that or really even draw that conclusion, but I'm glad that people are paying attention. That's exactly what would happen. Yeah. Just like also, I think in the same, no, different episode. I'll zip it.
Okay.
But
Willie would slay. Willie would slay in the bikini. By the way,
he would. Oh, this guy's built like a
But I think that he chose. I think that he chose the bikini based versus the clown. I don't think he's really afraid of the shoes. I think it's the clowns with the red hair, because they kind of remind him of some bad event that happened.
Oh, yes, that's true. It could be something to that. Yeah.
You notice the pause there. I said big red shoes.
Yeah. And this is a detail that I do want to explore in the season 2, where you get to witness a little bit of that, maybe to some comic relief a little bit, but where a demon hunt the demon hunter winds up in some attire that isn't so
think
cool.
We just got a vignette.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
it's a good idea.
That's something I enjoyed about Quantum Leap. Like when he leapt into a woman's body, he was wearing her clothes. He put on her makeup, and he had to be a woman. But I always wondered, what if he decided to have sex with somebody? How would that go about?
Yeah. And that was something I wanted to avoid. And Leo was, so that's why. And in just in reincarnation in general, it's just like someone dies, and then someone is this new physical presence embodies the soul of a former living person, and so they would just follow suit, that they wouldn't necessarily look the same, but in this case it's such an instantaneous thing that whatever is on that deceased person, the hunter now wears.
Right. So basically the space that she occupied, he occupies, and whatever's around that space, like the clothes, he unfortunately has to wear.
Yeah, exactly.
Or fortunately.
Cool. Or fortunately, yeah, depending on your tastes.
Yeah, there you go.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Well, hey, back in the cave, we learned more about the pig. The voice over the speaker seems to be someone who really knows the pig, or at least he makes it seem like he does, because he's urging the pig to explain why he's allowed himself to be misshapen and denigrated by only acknowledging the name Pig.
That is not who you really are. Who are you?
I can't say.
This is part of the twisted deal that the devil has made. Allow yourself to be misshapen. Allow yourself to be denigrated and disgraced. Why?
To protect them. My family!
All right, so the pig has a family.
Yeah, no, I love that scene. I love the way Jim Frank played that scene. I mean, you're seeing this guy who really started out as sort of this tough, monotone sort of henchman, Satan's right-hand man. And you're learning, the reason that he was malformed and twisted in his appearance, why he allowed himself to be sort of nicknamed the Pig, or sort of really become the Pig and lose his true identity. And it was all a deal he made with the devil to protect his family. Now, we don't know the full details of that yet, but we know he's basically tied to these obligations and really has no say. And it's made him into this, half man, this beast that he is now. And he's had to hold on to that because that kept him safe, kept his family safe. And now that's all at risk.
Well, back in the ORA, after Willie's already left and continues his investigation, Leo arrives to find out that he has a new assignment. And then some.
Hey, Cap, This murder last night, the woman in the swamp.
I heard about it.
How does that work here? Murder, that is. Aren't we, all us sinners, I mean, we're already dead.
As sinners, we're already dead, yes. Our souls damned. That isn't to say that we can't be removed for a while.
Removed?
Furthermore, some sinners can be killed and sent to some other plane of existence beyond this place. But only with weapons so rare and ancient, I doubt they exist anymore.
All right. So Leo learns that even though he's dead, he can still be killed, but only with a special type of weapon. That's got to be frustrating, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse kind of thing.
Yeah. That's really the whole point, is that it can actually get a lot worse, upping the ante to know that this may not be your only death. And God, what happens after that? Where do you go then? How much worse could it possibly get? And also, I think it was a way of saying that as a listener, whatever rules you may think you know about this place, you can throw some of it out the window. Yes, there are the biblical references and stuff like that, of course, that we take into account. But it's sort of like us on Earth trying to explain what, a Martian may experience. We don't live there. We're not there. The only way you can find out is you got to travel there. Well, on Hell, the only way you can find out what it's really like there is to die. So it allows us to make up some rules and sort of create our own little world within some of the limitations that are already out there in literature. And so it's been a lot of fun, and it really ups the ante. The threat level increases immensely because now this may not be your last stop.
Yeah, the entire Leo Brawn universe throws a bunch of curveballs when it comes to what your expectations are of everything. You go, like, you die and you go to hell, and then hell is having to work another job.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah,
damn it, I just got away from that. I thought.
and to what end? We don't know. Yeah, why?
Like, do you have a lifespan in hell?
Right.
Like you do on Earth? And after you die in hell, you go where? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Can't wait to find out.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thinking about that old adage, couldn't sell ice cubes in hell.
I bet you Jim could.
Jim could sell ice cubes to Eskimos. But hey, that's not the only thing that Leo learns.
Leo turns towards the entrance of the agency, and his knees buckle for a moment. Before him is a familiar face.
Miss Stryker, what the hell happened? We freed you.
Yes, you did. Successfully, but something was left behind. Not the demon, but I don't really know how to explain it. I can't.
I'm so sorry, Miss Stryker.
Lori. You can just call me Lori from now on. Captain Mangett, what's our case?
Wait, our case?
Yeah, again, apologies, Leo. I had hoped to lay the grand plan cleanly. Since it worked so well with you teaming up with June, I thought you could show Lori the ropes.
Well, I don't claim to be a veteran or anything, but I have no issues with that. I can definitely tell you what not to do.
It was Ollie. Ollie was
So Leo learns he's teamed up with Lori, and they're going to be hunting a demon in Las Vegas. Now, this will be Lori's first. When I was a kid, there was a movie that came out. It was made for TV. Do you remember Ralph Mouth of Happy Days?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Donnie Most. He was the actor that played him. He did a movie, and I can't remember who the girl was, but the name of the movie was called Leo and Lori. Swear to God. So
that's funny.
Every time I see Leo and Lori, I just think of Donnie Most as Ralph Mouth. Anyway, she's gonna be mentored by Leo Brawn. That's not too shabby for someone who's just coming to the agency.
No. Leo was recently mentored by Jim Chesterfield, and it worked out well. So why not? Leo's got a few under his belt now. not a virgin to this world, so he's got enough knowledge now to help Corey if she needs it.
Yes, if she needs it. Well, anyway, Willie follows this map that he found in the van, and it leads him to a cemetery, specifically to the headstone of Leo Brawn.
Whoa, what the hell? Why Leo? Okay, now what?
Willie begins examining the headstone more closely. As he turns to leave, something catches his eye. 2 pristine-looking headstones stand next to Leo's.
Oh my God, no. Oh, I'm so sorry, Leo.
He retrieves the map from his briefcase and takes down the details of the 2 new headstones, starting with their names. Louise and Harry Brawn.
So, it would appear that Leo's family is gone. Now, I'm not sure about everybody else, but at this point in the story, I'm guessing that the man who killed Leo Brawn, that man in the ugly orange tie, he may have had something to do with this.
He may have, or at least the sending whoever wanted to go down this road on this path, whether it's, for what purpose, we don't really know, but it may have been intended for Leo, but Willie's the one who picked up the trail. We may or may not find that out later, but yeah, so serious consequences. And now, of course, as a listener, you're like, oh no, now Willie's got to break this to Leo at some point.
And that's something I wanted to get to, because as I listen to this, I'm hearing not the flamboyant Willie Topaz at the bar drinking the drink named after him, but I'm hearing a man who has genuine feelings, who's concerned about his coworker. Terry, is that something you might have taken into account when you were doing this read?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, how do you deliver the news to someone that their son, maybe much less their wife, but how we all feel about our children, how do you deliver that news to somebody? And I mean, Leo's probably his best friend in hell at this point, I would say, in Dante. I don't think it's pretty much a doubt. They've been bonded since episode 1 or 2, episode 2. And yeah, when you read that the first time before you go in and record it, you're like, okay, there's mindsets you got to put yourself into when you find out this kind of information, and you have to, it being an audible experience, you have to find a way to convey that feeling to the audience.
Yeah.
So you got to put the next one's worse.
Well, before we close out this episode, I'd like to give our next trivia question. And this episode's question is, in what apartment building does Leo Brawn reside? And we'll have the answer to this on our next episode. Hey, Jason, as always, this has been a pleasure. We thank you for bringing us this amazing story of Leo Brawn. Do you have any final thoughts or comments about something we may have missed?
I think you covered everything. I just wanted to say that, you mentioned it several times that we're hearing a different side of Willie Topaz. And I love it because, I mean, that was really what this episode was meant to explore. Not just move the plot along, but also start to add layers to these characters, that they're not one note, that they're human. They're going to laugh, cry, be angry, get emotional, make mistakes. And so I loved that you were picking up on that, and that makes me feel like, okay, then the listeners are too, and amazing performance as always. So both of you gentlemen for bringing this along, and Terry, I'm so glad you said yes to being Willie.
Me too, my man, me too.
Hey, Terry, I usually end by asking everybody what their summary is, but let me ask you this. You're in an elevator with a network executive, and you have just a few moments to pitch this episode with the hopes that the network executive will air it. Go ahead.
Okay. So, there's a movie star that gets killed by a serial killer and goes to hell because we haven't figured out why he's in hell yet. We'll let you know later on in the show. But then goes to hell and becomes a demon hunter. And in this episode, the demon hunter also becomes a detective. And he is basically researching his best friend's death and discovers not only his best friend, but his best friend's family is also dead as well.
Makes me want to tune in.
Me too.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Hey, folks, on behalf of Jason and myself, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Terry, we had a great time with you this evening. Thank you.
Well, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And to all of our listeners, thank you for being such awesome fans of Leo Brawn and listening to Devil's Den with me, Jason, and our guest, Mr. Terry Briscoe. And don't forget to find us on Facebook for all Leo Brawn updates, as well as patreon.com, where you can sign up to be an RA member and get exclusive Leo Brawn content. And if you haven't already, search for The Devil's Den on Facebook to get your updates on each episode of The Devil's Den, as well as leave us comments and questions. You never know, we just might read one of yours on an upcoming episode. Hey, Jason, I look forward to our next episode of The Devil's Den when we review episode 9, The List, otherwise known as Cleaving Las Vegas, with our guests Mitch Lasinski and Mike Cunningham. Don't miss it. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Take care, Brawniacs.
The characters and events depicted in this podcast are fictional. Any similarity to any actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events, firms, places, and institutions, or other entities is coincidental and unintentional. This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Its unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability and criminal prosecution. Country of first publication, the United States of America. Leo Brawn, copyright 2024, Shoestring TV. Leo Brawn and all related characters are trademark and copyright of Shoestring TV. All rights reserved.